What's up, everyone? Welcome to Barstool Breakdown. Today is episode 33. Shout out Patrick Ewing. Go Knicks. Shout out Kareem. Shout out Larry Legend. Shout out Patrick Waugh. Shout out Zdeno Chara. Shout out Tony Dorsett. Shout out to all the number 33s out there. We got a great episode for you today. Before I get into that, if you're not subscribed, click that subscribe button, please. Get the Breakdown Boys to 1,000. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. Click that like button. Click that subscribe button. Get your friends to subscribe. We appreciate you guys out there. We got an awesome interview this week. We got Office Manager Paige. She goes behind the scenes. She tells us some funny stories about the stuff in the office that we might not know. It's a great interview. Stay tuned. Let's get it.
Get sturdy as fuck. This is it.
I should be over all the butterflies, but I'm into you. And baby, even on the worst nights, I'm into you.
All right, we're here with a very special guest, possibly the highest ranked employee at Barstool that we have, because she's the VP of football operations.
President.
She's also the office manager. It's Paige. How we doing, Paige?
I'm doing great. Honestly, that was probably the best intro I've ever received. I feel humbled just having that. So I appreciate you guys so much. Happy to be here.
Now, is it
Appreciate you being
VP or
here.
president?
President. So I
Yeah, it's
took I
president.
Oh,
yeah,
shit,
I
I'm
took
sorry.
so I took it away from Che.
Yep.
So we've never really fully gotten into it. He respects me a lot and he's honestly the best. But yeah, he created this facade of whatever this title is, and I was like, no, I'm taking it. I need your help with the parking lot, and it turned into like this huge thing. So I
Oh yeah.
put that on my Twitter and it will remain.
I know, that's why I wrote it. I literally copied it from your Twitter and still said, whatever. We're not redoing it. This is how Barstool rolls. We just go.
No,
let's go.
absolutely not.
You
I don't
still
know
said
what
you were
my
humbled by it,
I
even though I said the wrong thing. So much
I
appreciated.
don't know. I'm not kidding you. I don't know what my title is sometimes. I wear many hats. So I just roll with anything. Barstool is Barstool. You create your own freedom there to an extent. So it's awesome.
Yeah.
I like OMP, Office
kinda-
Manager
I
Page.
kinda
Okay.
wanted-
Yes, that
Yeah,
has
that
caught
is
on
good.
a lot.
That is good. So I before we dive into you being Stephen Che's boss, which you are, which is awesome. I feel like you have a very interesting path because, well, not path. I'm sorry, path like into like this whole area because Barstool Chicago happens and you get hired there, right?
Yes.
So like, were you a fan of Barstool like going into it? Were you working with them? Because I looked, when we source here on Barstool Breakdown, we source LinkedIn, and that's about it. We look at your LinkedIn. It's like, all right, well, she was in concrete. She was a Sixers sales intern. You know what I'm like? She did all this stuff in her past to where she's managing. I think you were like a sales rep at one point, and now you're
Yes.
managing a content factory full like. So, were you a fan going into that? Like, did you have a heads up what you were
Huge.
about to experience?
Yeah, so it's kind of weird. I've actually never really dove into too much of like the extent of this and
Yeah.
like how I've gotten here. But I grew up with all guys, like all hockey guys. So like
You
just to
don't
kind
say.
of like yeah, of course.
You are so comfortable around the entire office. It's just
It's-
insane. So
Well,
makes
that
sense.
you know what's so funny too is, and we'll get into this as well, but when I was going through the interview process, I actually said to them, like, it was one of like my final interviews. And I was nervous going in, and I remember like literally going to bed that night before being like, I'm very good at interviews. I'm very good at prepping myself, doing my research, and like having a strong mindset of what the flow is going to look like in an interview. And it was the first time I was like, you know what? Like, the reason you want to get into Barstool is to be yourself and be able to represent who you are and find yourself. And this has always been a goal. Don't go into the interview thinking less of that. Like, kind of show your true colors, because that's what they're going to hire. And if they didn't want you, then you weren't fit for the job, and like pivot. So going into it, I remember being like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And I was like, let me just go in and kind of tell my story and why I really want to be here. And I remember it so vividly, like sitting down and just being like, you know what? All of my upbringing was around hockey. Like, I was in stadiums and in ice hockey rinks since I was so young. I've been chirped by a bunch of guys and I've lived with hockey guys my whole life. Like that should be like my in already. That should be on my resume for this. I was like, if I can handle that and being chirped that much at like as a child till now, then I can handle anything pretty much.
You understand how a locker room works, yeah.
Yes. And I love it. Like, and I say all the time, and my friends and my family probably are so annoyed by me at this point, but I say it all the time. I'm like, it genuinely feels like I'm walking into like my memories again of just like hanging out with like my brothers and my cousins and like what it was like when like life was just like relaxed and carefree and I get to do what I love around people that just get it. And it's so wild when I was talking to a couple people about like my past and my upbringing, how many people at Barstool relate. It's almost like they were handpicked and it's like, here's a bunch of misfits and just throw them in a room and make it work because it does. And it's the coolest experience. And every day, like I'm so goddamn grateful that it all happened the way it happened. And I remember too, like working for the Sixers as well and kind of stepping away from that position and being like, I want this culture. It wasn't a fit at the time just because I was so young and I to be completely blatantly honest, I needed to pay my bills and like they weren't paying me enough.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, I really have to pay for this. But that was always in the back of my mind. So it was like, how do I mix going to work and loving what I do and like being myself fully? Because I worked in, I'm sure if you guys saw my LinkedIn, there's been so much corporate involved in that, that like I was so sick of wearing a mask that I was like, I want to just step into this and also incorporate the kind of culture that sports and the Sixers brought along with that. So it's kind of wild, but that's kind of where that all started. And then my entire path to get here was also kind of weird because I was in corporate America. I was an executive assistant and an office manager, and I actually went into sales in my previous role. But on the side, I was actually helping a nonprofit. So basically, every single Thursday, I don't know how familiar you guys are with Kensington in Philadelphia. It's like biggest open drug market in the world. It's crazy. But I needed something else, and my passion is honestly like helping people, and I also think that's why I'm good at my job. I'm just genuinely nice, and I'm like I want things to work, so like I'll just keep saying yes to you guys if we can make this work.
Yeah.
So I wound up reaching out to Jersey Jerry because he had started Friend of Jerry, and I loved what he was doing with it, and I was like, this is so great. But it's so new that maybe there's a potential avenue that I could get this nonprofit out there. And I reached out to him and I was like, every Thursday we go, we feed the homeless, we get them into rehabs. Like we literally provide them with Narcan, clothes, everything. And he was like, I love this. Like, call me, tell me more about it. So I called him, told him about that. And then I actually wound up going on his podcast with the founder of the nonprofit. Turns out there was a ton of mutual connections. We stayed connected. And then Jerry was actually helping me. Like, I can't tell you, Jerry's great. Like, Jerry, I cannot say enough good words about Jerry and how big that man's heart is. And he would help me get people into rehab that wouldn't have proper insurance. And like, he would deal with me the whole way. Like everybody who knows me on a very personal level knows that I will not give up on someone. And that could probably turn into being annoying because I'd be calling Jerry, like, can you do this? Or like, this guy wants to smoke in this rehab. And he's like, this guy's an asshole. Like, I've been down this road before. It's not going to work. Like, so he really put up with a lot of my shit. And I was also going through a lot. And it's a reason why I got into that whole space of like the nonprofit and addiction is because I grew up with a lot of addiction. So I was going through a lot of personal stuff myself. And I would literally he was hosting like AA meetings and he was doing a bunch of stuff for people in recovery. And I would go on to these lives and I would listen and it was just so refreshing. And we developed a friendship and found out that we had so many mutual connections. And he was actually a guest speaker at an event that we were also helping to host. So he came, was the guest speaker, and I was like, this is just so crazy. And he started to get to know like my corporate background and what I was doing. And he knew I wasn't really happy with what I was doing and stuff too. And then I just so happened to find out that there was an office manager position in Chicago.
Mhm.
And I shot him a text and I was like, what are the odds? Like, is there any possible way that you could have a conversation with someone? And he was kind of just like, a conversation's all I can really have. Like,
Yeah.
Barstool's really tough. Like, it's hard to get into and get in front of certain people. And I think he passed my resume along to Hank.
Mhm.
And I wound up interviewing with them, and I went through a ton of interviews. And it wasn't until like my 9th or 10th interview maybe that they were like, oh, this is, yeah, it was a pretty long process. And it's so weird because everybody I tell is like, you went through that many interviews. And they said like, I met with HR and stuff my first day, and they said that there was like 1,600 applicants that they were going through. And it was
No
like a
shit.
very, very sought after job. And I was like, thank God you told me this after the fact, because then I would have never bought up like I'm gonna wing this interview and be like, my brothers play hockey. Like,
Yeah, right.
I was like, thank God. So
Dude, we're getting a 1 in 1,600 interview right here. How do you think
it's
we're not
Yeah.
excited? This is you are 1 in 1,600 right there.
it was crazy. And
That's
I was
awesome.
just like, it was one of those moments where you really take a step back and you're kind of just like, whoa, like,
Mhm.
I'm so grateful for this. How is it me? And like, you'll realize too, is like, so many people look at me and they're like, oh, like, she handles so much. I am like the realest person, and I'm not going to try and jump on with a bunch of confidence and be like, I've got it all going on. And I know I'm always like, I should be better at this. I can be better at this. Like, it was
Yeah,
the most
but
humbling experience.
if you're critical of yourself, you're just trying to improve. So I get that. That's a good
Always.
mentality to have. Yeah.
Always. And like, it's so funny too, because like, even one of my friends just started a new job today, and she texted me and she's like, I feel like I'm not doing enough, but I feel awkward. And I was like, that means you're doing just enough. Like, I know your personality, like, I know our upbringing, like, it's one thing that I'm trying to work on, to pat myself on my back sometimes, but like, I am my worst critic. Like, I am so critical of myself. I am like, how can I continue to strive to open doors for myself? Or like, I'm a very big like fail forward type of person. There's my resume like might look cool and it might look like I have a lot of experience, but I've failed so many times before I've officially gotten to this point to be like, I am so happy with where I am. And like, all of those things had to happen to get to this point. But needless to say, that's pretty much how I got in. And I thank Jerry all the time. Like, he probably was like, shut up. In the first month, I would text him like paragraphs. Like,
Yeah.
thank you so much. Like, this is amazing. Like, I can't tell you how much stress is off of my back. Just first of all, moving from Philadelphia to Chicago was a full fresh restart. Like,
Yep.
I left so much behind, and getting out of corporate America was like my biggest thing.
Mhm.
Is because I just felt like I was just chasing myself like in a circle, and I was like, I'm in a new career, and I'm a level up, and more people are respecting me, and I have more responsibilities, but like, I'm so unhappy with
Mhm.
what I'm doing. Like, I want to go to work and like be like, you did all of this for a reason. And it really did finally happen here. So it sounds so corny, and like you said it earlier, Frankie, like sometimes we just hop on here and like we just suck each other's dick. Like, I literally am like, I love Barstool so much, and I can't express how happy I am to be here, because the people in general make it, and it sounds so cliche, but like so much better. They're so helpful. There's so much you can dive into. And like, people ask me like, how many hats do you wear? And it's like, I kind of put myself in those positions too, where I had such a unique opportunity coming into a fresh new building, a fresh new era of Barstool. And I love to challenge myself with like being comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Mhm.
And it was so uncomfortable walking into the building. And I still remember it too, because I didn't know. I knew Barstool, I knew the content people, I knew the shows and how it worked to an extent. But walking in and having to learn everybody from Barstool's name, respect what they've done with their careers, because every single person that is in that building has a story. And even down to interns that turn into full-time employees, like these people hustle more than anybody I know. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's a fun house, and it is so cool to see the creativity and the hustle behind so many of these shows, and like the back end people all the way to like everybody behind the scenes, and like seeing everything come together is truly amazing. So I didn't want to disrespect people, and I wanted to make sure that I got to know everybody's name. But then I was also learning, like, they were still finishing construction. I was learning, like, who's the general contractor? Who do I call if there's an HVAC problem? The roof's leaking currently. And like, who do I need to know, and like what direction do I need to go in if something does happen? Because it's just one of those jobs where like you really have to act on your feet. So it's been a whirlwind. I can't believe it's only been a few months, to be honest, because looking back on it, and like I remember when Hank gave me like a Christmas card, and it was only like not even 3 months maybe after my start date, and it was like, I feel like you've been here for 7 years. Like, what? Like, thank you for your positivity. And I was like, and I was on a meeting today, and I was talking about stuff with like Stella Blue and like Dan's like coffee brand and everything, and I was just like, how did we get here? And we like me and Trevor, who's amazing, he runs a lot of the Stella Blue stuff for Big Cat. I was just like, I don't know. I was like, I don't know how we've taken on so much and made so much out of what we have in this short period of time, because sometimes I look around the office and it's just a cluttered mess. And I remember my interview with Big Cat and Hank when I first flew into Chicago, and I was like, they didn't have anything for me. So it was kind of just like, you need somebody with a backbone, right? That's just going to do stuff. And I was like, and we won't create piles around here, and we'll make sure everything's organized.
Yeah, that's good.
My desk is a pile. Like my desk is a pile. Like they come up to me all the time and they're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I keep saying yes and helping everybody else. That like, there's so much that's going on, but just in these last 8 months, or 7-8 months at this point, it feels like 10 years.
Yeah.
And
I can't believe it said
feel
8
like I know
months.
all these people. It's crazy.
I literally was like, there's no way that's right. I thought you were there at least a year. I thought you were in like New York, even. Like it was just, it's crazy. And I realize now, like talking to you, like I think if Dan was to create the perfect office manager for him specifically, and Barstool, I guess, since he runs it, it's you. I mean, someone that picks up everything,
I appreciate that so much.
Says yes to everything, wants to get it done. Like the balloon thing, like you weren't gonna say no. Get that fucking guy in a balloon. Like, give
me the justice I need, because I am not kidding you. I literally, did you see the Mincy, like what TJ did with the smoke coming out? That was me for like a month. Over a balloon. Like so again, kind of circling back to what I was saying earlier, I come home and I do like a full routine, and while I'm doing that, I play the yak in the background, and everybody's always like, how are you so good at your job? And I listen. Finally, after 28 years of my life and people telling me like I talk too much to just listen, I finally listen. And I just throw their shows on. And if like they say something, they're so busy, they need somebody to literally be like, or Big Cat will walk through the door and be like, oh my God, I said we were gonna do like the balloon today. And like we'll either over order balloons, and now we have 200 red balloons all around the office, or like I'm already prepping ahead, because I'm like, I want to make sure that everything runs smoothly, and I like to be on top of things so that like nobody's scrambling at the last minute, because then it'll turn into me being in like, I don't like living in chaos. I've lived in chaos for too long, that like I'll get ahead of it. I'm like proactive rather than reactive.
Yeah, you're describing Office Manager Brett. That's why everyone loves you, because we've already dealt with Brett before, unfortunately.
Yes. You know what's funny too? When right before I went into everything, and like Spider was like the first person I pulled aside to ask him, like one-on-one meeting. I love him so much. He probably is so annoyed with me 98% of the time. But like I banter back and forth with Spider. I fight with Spider like he's my brother. but I respect him so damn much because when you're an office manager, it sounds so corny. It sounds so corny me saying this, but I don't, and I'm not saying I don't get the respect that I deserve because Barstool has truly like proven that point time and time again, times 10 for me. And I finally feel like validated for some of the stuff that I do. And I love it. But looking at Spider and what he built and how hard of a worker he is and like what he did, there was a moment where like he got annoyed with me last week and I was so stressed. I was so goddamn stressed because this is when like the roof stuff happened. And I was like in early and we had 2 productions that I had to help out with and one that I was like helping run and set up. And the hoop needed to be bought down. And I didn't realize that he was like waving at me.
Mhm.
And I don't know how I reacted, but I was so frazzled in the moment that I was kind of like, I'll be right there. Like, I think I know what you're saying. And he thought like I shoot him off and he was just as busy. And I was literally like, I know you're going to yell at me. Like, he'll yell at me if like waters aren't in the, like, he is very like, I want things structured.
yeah.
These are how I like them. And I've ran with that for a while. And there's so many times where I'll fall short or I'll be pulled to a certain direction. And I'm like, but I want to help everyone. And I'm like, Spider, why are you mad at me? I like text him really quick. He's like, nope, fine, all good. And then like the next day I pulled him aside when he walked by and I was like, we're squashing this. Like, what were you annoyed about? Because like, I do not like being on bad terms with people. And I also want you to know that I respect you so highly that like, I want to be better. Like I constantly, like, I want the feedback. I want you to yell at me. I like literally
especially from Spider.
yell. Yes. Like yell in my face. Like what is going on? Because typically if you're blowing up about that too, somebody else has already thought about it.
Mhm.
And like, regardless of nobody knowing my full schedule or what I have been doing, like, I also have to respect that too. Like, they only see certain parts of me. And everybody's really good with everything, but it's crazy how much I respect the path that everybody else has been on and how helpful everybody has been.
Yeah.
Like,
you just kind of opened my eyes to that when you said Spider, because you've been there 8 months. And
yes.
I feel like everybody knows and loves you, especially the fans. And maybe I don't know how you feel in the company, but I think the company does too. Honestly, you just have I think you think less of yourself than like everybody does, to be fully honest with you, because I don't hear any hate about you ever. And you're talking about Spider, and I was just thinking, man, I remember the unboxings, just watching a fucking black shadow go back and forth on the screen, and that was Spider just taking all the boxes and shit from Dave when he was opening that stuff during COVID. Nobody knew he was doing that until like the ending. Oh man, it was just, I'm thinking, man, he went through some shit. So
it's crazy. And the best part about it is, and like, I think this is like kind of twofold, is I want to make a point to say Big Cat is by far the best human I've ever met in my life. Like, truly takes
Jonathan just
care.
tweeted about that.
It's insane. He takes care of everyone, and like, I see what he does on a daily basis. Like, sometimes in my head, I'm like, there's 2 people where I'm like, how are you a human being? And it's Big Cat and it's Jerry. Because I don't know how Jerry's alive.
Yeah.
But Big Cat is just one of those people where I'm like, you're so busy, yet you take the time out of your day to like really make sure somebody's seen or make sure you tell them that they're doing a good job. Like, I remember KB said something on the Yak the one time of how he was just like in a funk and the weather wasn't great and whatever. And Big Cat came in the next day with like, he was like, let's wrap these. Like, I want to make sure that KB's day gets better. And I was just like, what?
Yeah.
That was the big gift he brought in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, I just started joining and helping out with Stella Blue and stuff too. And he continues to like text me on the side and be like, thank you so much for what you're doing. Or like, he recognizes everything. And it's absurd how amazing he is. But I truly am blessed, but it is such a crazy position and how much you do. I love this position because it makes me then realize how much everybody else is doing. And it makes you take a step back because you're like I remember Just
Besides
for example,
Mincy, right?
yes.
Besides
I
Mincy.
love Mincy to death, but boy, oh boy, he's crazy. But like Ryan, Jerry's
Yeah.
Jerry After Dark
Yeah,
producer.
we love Ryan. We met Ryan. Yeah.
When I walked in those doors, he still does it to this day. Maybe over like 10 times a day, he'll come up to me like, "Hey, you good? What can I help you with?" Ever since the day I started. And I remember he wasn't when I found out he wasn't hired full time, I was like, "Jack, how has he not been hired full time? Like, I would die without him." Because before Caitlin Walker came into Chicago, I was handling production. I was handling anything building related. I was making sure that the office was stocked, running well. There was so much that we needed that I had to make sure that was done. I would be in the corner building a shelf, like, how the fuck am I supposed to get to this next meeting? But he was a saving grace and still is to this day. He really works so hard. But like people like that, like
people like care.
Even
Yeah, Ryan's the ultimate care guy. You can tell, like with Jerry After
Yes.
Dark, everything that Jerry does is amazing to Ryan because he cares. He wants Jerry to beat the fuck out of that
Yes.
challenge, shut the haters up. Yeah, he just cares.
He's
It's good to be in an environment where like,
rally.
people care. Yeah.
Yes, it's crazy. But I think there's so many of those people, and I don't know if it's just this environment. I haven't been in any of the other offices, but like we have such an open space, and like we as a group will get together and like everybody talks to everyone in that office. And I think that truly this is again, you walk through those doors and like people will talk about it and they're like, this office is just always so happy. Like, why is everybody so happy? Everybody sees how hard everybody works on like such a larger scale now because you can see everything. And I think Viva TV does a lot with that too. Like they check it, you get like you really get like the ins and out and the scoops of everything. But like these guys are here. I can't tell you how many times where I've been nervous because part of my take's been in the office till 4 a.m. making sure that everything's edited. Like it was the most eye-opening experience to see how hard people work, but then turn around and be like, you're crushing it. And it's like, what? Like nobody's selfish. Nobody, you could walk up to anybody in that office and they'd be willing to sit down and have a conversation with you and help you.
Yeah.
And like, even if you were like, you know what, I really want to get into production and can you teach me how to edit? Literally watch Nikki Smokes do it. And now he edits all of his stuff. And like, everybody wants to see everybody grow. And I think that is why I love my position so much because I get to see all of it, but also be a part of it too. I think
we've experienced that. Sorry, my bad, Paige. I think we've experienced what you're speaking on the firsthand. I mean, we've had Brandon fucking Walker on Barstool Breakdown, so like that's very
Nikki
so like,
Clicky.
Nick Traney, like
he's the
Frank
best.
the Tank was like I say it all the time, like our 3rd or 4th episode, which is insane for us, but like that speaks to the character of these guys and this environment of Barstool that people don't actually get into. They see the clickbait, they see all the bullshit, with Rico beefing with somebody or Marty with the other shit, and that's on us too as fans because we love that, but it's actually like a great culture, and you can tell like when you speak to the people, it's a phenomenal culture and like one we're all envious of, especially the way that you're speaking of it, only being there like a short time, like you said, you feel like family, like you've been there forever. It's amazing.
Yes, for sure. But don't get me wrong too. Like I love that part of Barstool, but also it goes back to that point that I made. Like it's like walking into your family and like you fight. Like there are moments where you're like, you're annoying the fuck out of me, or like you'll hear somebody scream in the background. Like, oh my God, one of my favorite moments was when some report came out on the Sixers and Max and TMT were like wrapping something up in part of my take, and the door's always shut, so you really can't hear it because it's all soundproof. And the door opened up, and it was honestly laugh out loud funny because they were fighting so loud and it was so legit. And you literally saw through every single doorway or corner somebody's head like, what the fuck is that? Like no cameras were on. It was literally like, oh shit, that's real. Like, and there's many of those moments where you're like, oh, they're really fighting, but like they'll get over it. Lucas and Spider the other day got into the longest screaming, like it wasn't screaming, but it was a very heated argument over a balloon. Like it's so childish, but like we spend so much time with each other, like that it just happens. But I feel like that's like the best dynamic because you can go in there and relax your shoulders and like you're like, I'm getting my work done, like leave me alone, but also like this is the best.
But
Yeah.
and you're in the fantasy factory, which is like obviously a big deal and stuff. And that's why I think people kind of like hate on it because they're just like so jealous. Obviously, I mean, I teach 6th and 8th grade for a living. So you think I'm not jealous of watching the stuff that I watch every day? I would die to be there. But it's like you said, I don't think people realize because people will comment and be like, oh, cool, you talk on a podcast for a couple hours a day, like real great job you have, whatever. Did anybody watch in 48 hours the movies that were put out? Those were incredible. Like,
was
you know what I mean? That's not the amount of work they have to put in for that. Like,
yes.
people don't even get it. It's just
The
crazy.
Office must have been buzzing for the film festival.
Oh, yeah.
Like when they're
I
working
can
on
imagine.
that.
It was the coolest thing I've ever experienced. Like I think that was somebody asked me the other day, like what my high and low has been like since working here. And I think that is one of the ones that like really
Paige,
takes
Paige. What's your high and low since you've been working there?
So I think about my highs and I'm like meeting cool people and like celebrities and like being able to go back and forth and like hosting them is surreal. One of my best moments is probably the film fest because it was one of those moments. So I had 2 teams and Caitlin had 2 teams and we handled the budgets on those. So basically we were running when I think I tweeted about like being at Home Depot, like the one day, like early in the morning and people were like, what are you doing? Like we were going back and forth in cars by ourselves, like making sure props were there, like any ideas that they had, it was coming to fruition. So we were kind of running around in the background, but we were getting to see all of the movies in real time and what they were fighting about. And it was the craziest thing because everybody started at one point and like it was a roller coaster throughout and there was a fight in every group and it all was around something different. And it was so cool to see how different the groups were and the dynamics and what they made of it because I didn't realize until that point just how creative they really were. Like I knew their creativity, but like I literally was standing in the back during the premiere like a proud mom. Like I was just like, fuck yeah, like you crushed it. Like every team that won, like people would be like, oh, I wish we got that, or oh my god, like everyone was happy for each other. But I was sitting back in the background, like, yes, guys, like you got this. Like it was.
I thought I saw Jerry walk.
My best.
I thought I saw Jerry storm off. He didn't look happy.
Because I think it was over like one of his lines, like or he was like something about one of the lines that.
So it wasn't the awards.
Yeah, it wasn't the awards. Like I think it was more so a joke of like he got snubbed for something that he wanted, which he another thing is like that man can truly do it all. Like he turns on the switch and he's like, it's crazy. He bebops around the office all day and like he's usually singing like the Pink Panther like theme song and I'm like, you are just the most mysterious person.
Dude,
like I have so many questions about you at all times, but like you're the best. Yeah. And he's just truly himself at any given moment. But
is there words to the Pink Panther theme song, or is he just doing the sound?
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. Every day.
I remember in the beginning when he got hired, they used to say like he just walk around the office and just be like, Jerry. Just to himself, like just
we gotta get Joe Sauce to put Jerry walking around the office to that.
Yeah, that's probably probably nobody knows that, but and I tell him to his face, I'm like, you sing that every day, and he just walks. He doesn't talk to anybody, like in the kitchen. Will walk around singing that. Goes to his own beat. Usually, he'll walk behind like a random producer. We have Colton Jones who does helps out with like a lot of Danny Jackwell stuff. He just came into the office and. One of my things is like I really want to make sure that like everybody's comfortable there too. So like any questions that they have, like I usually sit down with them at first. I'm like, I have gotten to know everybody. Like I have a lot of answers. Like me and Caitlin have a Bible of like who to contact, what to do. And I walked up to Colton and we were talking and it just came out the other day. He's like, yeah, I don't even know. I don't know if he said if he didn't know his name, but he was like, he has like this mirror on his desktop so he can see who's coming behind him. And he's like, it's always Jerry, and he just pops up in my ear and moans. And like he's known for that too. Like he'll just walk around the office and like you'll just hear a Jerry moan, and you're like, oh, that fucker. Like
Jerry moan.
yeah, it's literally it's children prancing
Jersey
around
Jerry's
a
a
fantasy
habitual
factory.
moaner. Yeah, that's just guys being dudes. That's just
Guys being dudes at
Yeah.
all times.
Yeah, just go give your buddy a little moan in the air. Hold his hand while the yak cam's on you, Jake Malasek style. You know what I mean? Like
Oh.
that's just
That
guys being
was-
dudes.
So I have like a select few that I really, really bust
Hey.
on. And if I'm busting on you, it just means like I have a whole nother like level of respect and love for you. Jake Malasek is one of those guys.
I knew that was coming.
Like they bust my balls so much. Like so much, it's insane. We had to do like a harassment training the other day, and I was like, it's insane that we like
ruining the
I'm like-
culture.
I'm like, listen, guys, like going through this, like, and half the shit that is thrown around here, like, it's all in good fun for sure. And like everyone that's there can take it. And if you can't, like, you
Yeah.
got who knows
Yeah.
how long your time is. Yeah. But no, truly everybody that we have can take it. And but like Jack McCarthy, Jake Malasek, Spider, Max, like they're my go-to like to like pick on and chirp with throughout the office. But there's nothing that brings me more joy than when something happens with like Jack or Jake and it's thrown online and I'm like, yes, like this is the best.
Yeah,
It's
we had
too
Jake
funny.
on. We had Jake on. I tried to give him redemption on the threesome issue that he had
Oh
there.
my god.
And I'm like,
he can't
just
win
give us-
on the app.
I go, give us the good
No.
threesome. And he's like, oh man. And I'm like, oh, whatever. And I go, all right, give us if it was two dudes. And he answered immediately, like
Yeah.
right away,
Yeah.
had the answer for two guys, threesome.
I'm
I was
not
just like,
saying
you're
anything.
not
no.
helping yourself, dude. You're not helping here.
So
Yeah,
so
he does it to himself.
Yeah.
people are gonna be mad. There's a name in there that we've seen you associate with, and people have questions. Paige. It's
Nikki,
yeah. What's going on with Smokes? I mean,
Nikki-
there's the hugging photo with the foot up, and the green line test would do you real bad on that. So what's
we
going
have
on
we
there?
have coworkers that ask about this. Like people
Yeah.
that like the streets are talking. No, he is
The
like
streets
he's a very, very good friend of mine. Like genuinely respect the guy. He does have a very big heart. And I think that I'm like
Wait, very big what? You cut out.
heart.
Sorry, you work at Barstool. I got to do guy stuff to
Oh,
you.
you
too.
got it. You can absolutely
Don't
do
you
it.
Greg
I'm-
Doyle me?
If you didn't, I'd kind of be pissed, to be honest. But yeah, he's got a big heart. Everybody knows me as like the softie. Like if you talk to me in the office, like Megan making money will text me all the time, and she's like, "You're being so fucking gay. You're too you're too much." So if people do have like any issues or they want to come to me like an open book, like they know that I'll be the one that'll sit down and like genuinely talk to them. And I think that we've connected really well, like on that level. But also, I also have like 12 different sides of me. And like, if I'm going out and I'm going out to a party or something, like Nikki's usually there. And like, we'll go out to brunch and like and I am queen of saying yes and like fucking with the internet or doing whatever they want to do because
Right.
like, I don't care. Like, I know myself and I know my life and I know what I'm doing. Like, if it's on the internet and like people are getting like riled up about it, like I really don't pay much attention to it. I don't care. So I think that became like a running joke with all of that. But yes, we're very close friends.
Are
Yeah.
you closer
Friends.
than Connor and
Friends.
Caitlin, or
No, I would say that they're on another level. They were talking marriage. I was gonna initiate it.
he
Has
said on
Smokes-
our podcast? I think I might have to marry her to just continue this. I was like,
Well,
all
Big
right.
Cat like said something along the lines of like, if you get married in Citizens Bank Park, and I was like, I'm an ordained minister. I did this for my
I was
friend.
gonna ask
Like,
about that. Yeah.
yeah, so I was like, I'm also like, I'm not just the yes man at Barstool. Like, I'm very well known in Philadelphia. I used to go to, and it kind of ties into the whole Nikki Smokes thing too, is everybody knows that I'm so down for anything, but I'm also like a very personal person. So like, if you take me to anything, you could leave me in a corner and like, I could be like, oh my God, I totally forgot I came with you. Like I can entertain myself.
Mhm.
So I've gone to a lot of like weddings with just like close friends, and like one of my close friends was at a bar one night and like we drunkenly, he was like, I'm taking you to this wedding. Like there's no one else that would be better for this wedding. Like please come. And I think it was like the third time I ever met him. And like it was all like within passing kind of. And I was just like, yeah, down. And he reached out and was like, would you actually do this? And I was like, yeah, down. And there was like one other connection that I knew there and like went to the wedding and it became like a running joke. Like that's just Paige. Like you can't like it's never just like, oh well, like it's not my girlfriend, it's not my like it's just Paige. Like there's no describing.
So you never
her.
dated
She's
this
just,
dude ever that you
No.
went there with?
No. Like literally like just I should get paid for this. I should make this into another side gig.
I was gonna say
probably.
I actually
Will-
did kind of the same thing. I went to a girl's brother's wedding with her, but I'm now married to her for almost 10 years with 2 kids. So it was a different situation because I stayed with her, but it was
No way.
super awkward where she was in the wedding. So like I got there and I was like, oh God, I'm not going to be sitting with you. She's like, yeah, but like my cousin's there. So like whatever. And I was just like, but I was kind of a like douchey frat boy back then anyway. So I took care of business. It was all good.
Those moments though, like I don't know why I live for those moments. I can't tell
was
you how
dancing
many
with
like
her
good
mom.
connection. Yes, like
it was one of the highlights of my life now because of that. It was like on the dance floor with her mom holding her hand with a picture of us. Like, so it's like something we always talk about. So yeah, those are the moments for sure.
My biggest goal in life, and I tell my friends this all the time because they're always like, when are you going to start a book? Like you are the worst storyteller, which you guys will get to know. Like I ramble, you can't put me on the spot. Like you're like, where are we connecting the dots at? Like I have so much in my head at all times. I have too many stories and I love to write anyway, that like I was literally just writing before this. I have to write things down and I love putting myself in those positions because first of all, it's always a funny story. Like it's always for the plot. And on top of that, I can't tell you, and I think it's why I am the way I am and where I've gotten to where I am, is I network with so many people. Like I can't tell you how many people are so intrigued if I just walk up and they're like, well, that's just Paige. Like she's bebopping to her own beat. Like she gets shit done and like she's just living her life. And I've met so many connections and I've gotten lifelong friendships out of it. And there's many adults that like I reach out to or have had some type of connection with sales or some type of opportunity with work. And it's literally, I always put myself out there. It's why I am working at Barstool. I put myself out there with the whole Jerry podcast and like a year and a half later, it turned into me managing the Chicago office.
Yeah. And part of that, I mean, it's incredible. You know, like you said, from corporate America coming over to what Barstool is, it's obviously not corporate, but you know, Barstool. But part of that, you know, being an office manager, there you get like requested. So what's like the weirdest thing you've been requested to get? Because like it's, you know, coming down to hay bales.
Hay bales was up there.
Rodeo bull. I don't know if that was you or not, but like
that was Caitlin.
The weirdest one.
So I gotta give huge kudos to Caitlin Walker, to be honest, because
you dress alike.
That too, but like she was literally my saving grace when she came over here, and like we are so close because we share a similar background and we just clicked like that. But we have a lot in common when it comes to our work ethic. And we both know how to kid around. We both know how to call each other out on our shit. And like, we'll literally be like, I don't do that. And it's just so easy and relaxed, but she really takes care of pretty much all of production at Barstool and makes it happen. And I was kind of just like barely my head, like I was almost underwater before she came on with the production stuff because I wasn't really adverse to all of it and I was still learning and getting requests from everyone at that point. So her coming over, she's taking care of all of that, and she's got to deal with the Jerry After Dark and all of the setup requests, but I help her out with a lot of that and stuff now. But we always say we drunkenly did start a TikTok, which is like so embarrassing and I need to go back and do something about that. But we were like, how funny would it be to like literally share these requests that we get and like our Amazon like orders. If you went down our Amazon orders, like we should be flagged by the FBI. Like it is so insane. She has like, we looked at it today. She has like blow up dolls for Jerry After Dark, like rubber chickens. Like I have like all these baby dolls. Like I had to set up everything for like the Hank and Max 24-hour stream. And it was like, I was in Target and I literally said to the cashier, I said, this looks so weird. And it's like 10 p.m. at night. I'm not a serial killer. Like it was like tarp, rope, children's toys. Like it was just like some of the situations that they put me in, it's more so awkward when we do that. Like for example, when we were doing the 48-hour film fest, Connor said something too, and I was like, these are the moments where like nobody realizes how awkward these situations were in. But he had to buy like the one movie was like literally all about the G-spot, and it was like a fake rubber arm from a sex store, and like it was charged on our cards. And Connor was like, yeah, I just walked in the store and like I asked about it, and somebody else was like a mostly sports fan, like saw him and called him out on it. And I was like, what's more weird, the fact that somebody from Mostly Sports was like broad daylight, like on a Tuesday, like at a sex store, or like you walking in by yourself with this rubber arm? So I think that there's no one thing that really sticks out entirely, but it's like, it's a day-to-day struggle of being like, I look like a fucking psychopath. Like I absolutely look insane with what I'm buying and purchasing at the store right now. Please don't ask questions.
I was gonna say, and you live in Chicago too, man. If the police are looking at videos of like, who's the sketchy person here leaving Target, and they're like, wait,
it is
what's this girl doing? We gotta
insane.
go ask her some questions. Thankfully, you can just show them here. Check YouTube or Rumble. Sorry.
That's another thing that we did for the 48-hour film fest. I was in and out of this specific like costume store for 3 hours. And it was like the third time I went in and they were like, ma'am, you bought all our fake blood. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I don't know how to say this in like a short manner. And like me, like I always I feel bad when I make certain people feel uncomfortable. And it was like this old lady, and I was just like, do you have the internet? Like here, like you could see these in a few days. Like this will make sense. I'm so sorry.
You know the pizza guy, the guy that eats pizza. This is all for him.
In a way, this makes sense. I swear.
Yeah.
So there's that. It's so funny, and like I wish I could like walk around with a GoPro on my head, like my forehead at all times. But
me too.
There's a lot of, and that's another reason why I write a lot too. Because like I want to look back on like the little moments of like all the weird stuff, because it's fucking hilarious. Like it's so funny, and I can't believe that like at this age and like my career path that like this is like I'm scared to tell this woman why I just bought the last gallon of fake blood in her store. Like
that's
awesome.
It's just so great that to me, like you said, the GoPro on your head. That's why I said I wish you would too, is because Stool Scenes was literally the way that I got into Barstool from like Dave's pizza reviews and whatever, and I started like seeing like what's Barstool, whatever. I kind of knew what it was, but I started watching that stuff, and it just like I was just like, this office is unbelievable. This is the greatest stuff ever. So like that, like you said before with Viva TV, that's why I love that they brought that back, because that's pretty much like the old school Stool Scenes. Besides, they use security footage. It's like, you know, you have literal cell phone footage right in your face now, which is it's just great.
They do such a good job with that too. Like that also blows my mind is they shoot footage and it's like up the next day. Like it's crazy what does go on in the office and what they catch, but I honestly, looking back on when I was a fan too, is like I would say Stool Scenes was like one of the number one things that I would watch, because I was like, how do these people, this is their job? And like now I'm living it and I'm like, how this is real. Like how is this our job? Like how is this our job? It's pretty crazy.
That's awesome.
But grateful for sure.
It's definitely not in the fine details of being an office manager.
No.
But I mean, there's a lot that goes into being an office manager, and to help you out, I wrote down a couple of suggestions, maybe.
Hit me with it.
Okay, like just give me a couple
She's
thoughts,
got
maybe.
The pen, bro.
I've got a few.
I was writing.
So we need a dress code, but it doesn't have to apply to everybody. It has to apply to Lucas.
Oh my god, the pants.
So yeah, dress code specifically for Lucas. Pants
and the shorts.
The pants must be approved on entry upon entry. Like someone's got to be designated. Hey, Lucas is coming in. Check his pants. Nope. Go home. Change those. Put on real pants, buddy. None of those underwear today. Like we gotta
Yes.
get this corrected. So that's the first thought. Any
All right,
additional
noted.
notes on that? Okay.
This is actually already in my notes.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, a visitor access log, but it's a Mincy logbook. He signs in and out, whenever he's in, with a box next to it that details his activities that day. Did he walk around? Did he talk to someone? Tell him what concerts he was going to that day?
Every day.
Yeah, right. So some
Every
stuff
day.
like that. It's got, and then when he checks out, he writes down what he did that day. Boom, he's out. And just tell him it's a new log thing. It'll help him with his reports, probably his blogs. Boom, it's all written down for you, man.
Guys, also this could get really dangerous. Like I have a devious mind. Like I do try and pull pranks on them in the background at all times.
Yeah.
So get creative with this because the pen is out.
Yeah, no, this is
Frankie,
that reminds me of when I'm at school, I have to sign out to go to lunch or something. That is
Yes.
great. Whenever he leaves the office, I have to make him sign out would just be
Yeah.
And to tell him it's a fire code thing, you got to know how many people are in the building. He would believe that too,
You have to love them.
I'm looking. I really don't have a lot more. I had a joke about maybe employee of the month that gets a jacket, call it the Beast jacket, something like that. No, but that's just a joke because Barstool Beast was a terrific failure for the week that lasted.
Not for this show though.
No, not for this
No.
segment now. Yeah, that's really all I had on there. I do have a tip though. Don't just hang up stuff that Fasoli gives you.
Oh my god, that fucker.
Yeah, what's going on? He hands you a list and you're just like, all right, I'll put this on the wall.
I also didn't think it was gonna turn it. I didn't think it was gonna turn into all right, get on the yak. I was also that day I was pulled into. So you'll notice that little booth that I kind of you'll see it in the in that surveillance tape. I have learned that I will not make it to my desk without getting pulled into some type of direction or somebody be like, oh, I'm glad you're here, need you, or oh, this. So I've parked my ass right in that booth, and Caitlin sits across from me. Literally, our security guard wrote reserved for Paige and Caitlin on the walls. I literally do not make it past there. But that day specifically, I was pulled in so many directions. They were like, hey, do you want to? I also walked in and when they pull me into things or put me on camera, I'm like, why the fuck are you putting me on camera right now? They asked me to do out of order.
Yep.
And they don't tell me any specifics, typically right away. And they're like, oh, you're actually this woman who had 100 abortions. Will you do this? And I'm like, I guess so.
Yeah, no problem. Got you. That's
And
just
then
Paige, though. That's just Paige.
That's just Paige. So I'm getting all these texts, and they're like, you got to get on the yak. And I'm like, what the fuck? And it was 5 seconds before that Fasoli texted me hey, can you can you print this? Can you hang this up? And then it wasn't. I was moving around too much. I didn't realize how fucking calculated that little slime ball was. And
Slimy
people
bastard.
people were looking back on the logs of the computer as to who printed it. And I was like, wait, that motherfucker made me print it. And I went to the printer and I got these and I hung it up. And I was like, what is the bit? And he's like, just don't tell anyone.
His friend for the list.
The crazy part was it wasn't even him though. That's
it was Liam.
Yeah,
Liam is probably my favorite person in there.
He's a treasure. We had him on a week ago, and he was, or what, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
So fucking funny without trying. His one-liners, he'll just walk over to you and he'll be like, you did this earlier. What was that about? He's just always what are you doing? What's up? He's one of a kind. I love him so much. He's the greatest. But yeah, Fasoli can fuck off.
It's funny because I'm pretty sure I remember I think South Park was where they had a list in the boys' bathroom and all the boys were like, what is this list? Da, 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 da.
Oh,
But,
they did do that.
I felt like it was a Boy Meets World episode though too, which is what his dad wrote for. So I was like, did you just copy his dad's idea or something? I was like, that's pretty funny that he thought let's make a list of everybody and just hang it up. And then he, of course, that's the worst part is and I think Titus was one that said it. He was just I don't know. I just wanted to do it. I don't
That is too good.
Sorry, I'm an impression guy. So.
Wait, I was gonna say that was far too good of an impression. But
That was my first ever of doing him, so I'm glad
doing
it was.
him.
So I'm glad
Yes, it was
Yeah, I'm not
very
practicing
accurate.
my Blutman on a
I'm like,
daily
how
basis.
often do you do this? No, he's so great. But I when they put it up, I was like, this could be really funny because I know that they will actually look at it and be like, what is this?
Mhm.
But I took it as more so a lot of them are so busy that they could probably see if they see a date with their name on it, they're like, where do I need to be? Like, what am I supposed to be doing? Like,
Yeah.
is there something that I was supposed to be doing that I'm not? And it turned into a bunch of people asking questions, and I was like, this did get the entire office talking. So like something as simple as that can really like take off. But I was pissed off because there was no structure to it. There was no end goal. There was no once everybody found out, which they did, it was kind of just like, what the fuck? And then they found out who did it, and they were like, you have to be fucking kidding me. But that being said, I did try and like run into the control room before I went on, and I was like, all right, just so you guys know, this was Fasoli. He did this, and it's so fucking stupid, and I already see it blowing up. Like, how do we turn this on Fasoli? So I do try and like if anything does get bought to me or is blowing up, like I'm so in the know with so many of their bits and like what they're doing
Yeah.
that I kind of try and like sneak my way in and do something. It was like the third week, and I was like, I think I was like, I took an edible and I was laying in bed and I was watching the Yak, like seeing what they were saying. And it was all about parking spots. And I knew that Brandon came up to me asking about the specific parking spot. So I took the handicap like sign down and like bought like an $80 sign, like high as shit on Amazon. It was just like reserved for Brandon Walker. And I put it up and like, it's crazy because they're like, who could have? And it was like 2 weeks in and I was like, couldn't tell you.
Yeah, right.
Don't know.
Wait, you bought a sign for
easy.
him?
Yeah,
because Cliff DiMartino bought him one too.
No. Cliff was
did.
Cliff
he bought
was
one
for
for
Che.
Brandon too. He brought one for Brandon with a big space in the middle that he was going to write the word "fucking Brandon fucking Walker in it.
Because
I don't know if he ever
that
sent it. He showed me though. But yeah.
Yes, that is I was going to say, I think I did hear about that too though. But the reserve parking for Brandon, I took it off of the handicap spot and I put him right there because it was right next to Big Cat. I was like, I got you your own spot. Brandon's a ball buster too, but he's the best.
He's awesome.
He was great when we were on here. I was literally freezing and disappearing during the whole show, so he was just like destroying me. It was quite the episode.
He yelled at me to shut the fuck up towards the end. So yeah. It was a good time.
That's Brandon Walker. That's Brandon fucking Walker.
Never know what you're gonna get.
His mom is like such a gem and reached out to me and I was fucking with like all of them for a while. But I actually went to Mississippi and stayed at Mama's house. So I got the full Mississippi experience and so his mom and his sister has never been into like this little smoking section / room that they have in Mississippi. And they're like, no, like
smoking lounge.
Yes. Yeah. So they were like, nobody, like no women are allowed. And I was like, let's go. I was like immediately like, come on, let's go. So we went in there and I was like, I am so assertive. And like, I really insert another reason why, like, if you see me popping up anywhere, it's because I'm inserting myself and I'm like, what can I do? So we went into this, it was basically like a liquor store almost. And you walk in and it's this whole room and like all college athletes and stuff like go in there. And I sent him a picture and I was like, I came back and he was like, how was Mississippi? Like, and he's doing his little thing. And I was like, it is the funnest thing to get under Brandon Walker's skin. And I learned so many tricks. I won't spoil anything on here, but so many tricks from his mom of like what pisses him off. So there will be
his mom's the
you're gonna have to tell us post.
Plenty of things. So I will post it. I'll tag you guys and I'll be like, here's one of them.
Right.
But
love it.
But Mama's a jokester too. So she helped me out with a lot, but it's a crazy day to day. That's for sure.
No, I bet. I only have a couple more written down. Frankie, do you got anything written down? I had like first office, last office, but that's kind of boring. But I mean, who is last office? Maybe people care about that. Who's the last one there every day? It's got to be consistent.
Last one there.
I feel like you've talked about, everyone likes this environment. Everyone, it's a family thing, so everyone's there on time. It seems like.
Everyone does get in. I would say everybody pretty much floats in around 10, to be honest. But a lot of people stay so late. Like there's so many people. Huge shout out to Danny Lance. Danny Lance on the Chicago team. Sneaky late guy. Like is always in there, but he's also in there very early too. So I have to give a shout out to him. I'd also say everyone on Part of My Take is like memes, Shane, Pug, all those Max
Pug.
when he pushes the button. They're there really late, but they grind so hard and like they do a lot of stuff with like Stella Blue is like something that I've gotten into and have worked with for like the past couple months basically. Seeing how much they put into that outside of everything that they do too, like blows my mind. I genuinely am like, when do you sleep?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, so I'd say that they're probably there the most and the latest. Memes, I don't know how he is like surviving. Now he has a turtle to take care of because I was like,
yeah, Mr. Pear, the common shitting turtle.
that was the best thing in the world. I love Max is probably, and I say this to everyone, I'm like, Max is probably my favorite person at Barstool, but when things happen to him, like he's
it's
like
so fucking funny.
He is quite literally a large teddy bear. Even when he's like freaking out, like he'll calm down. I'll be like, I just got overreacted, and like when stuff like that happens, and I walked in and like the turtle, it was just turtle cum. It was, I don't know what else to explain it, and like shit everywhere, and I was like, I'm so sorry, and I really feel like I should help you, and I would help anybody else, but like I'm recording at all of this, like this is
You have to.
gold. This is gold. But yeah, I would give a huge shout out to those guys and Danny Lance for sure. Ryan is like the hardest worker I know, and then he stays up all night with Jerry after dark. But you know who I like really need to give a shout out to, and not a lot of people, and you'd probably kill me for even saying this out loud, is Stefan in the control room. And everybody usually says like, oh, here comes Stefan, like he's gonna huff and puff and he's gonna talk about technology and this, that, and the third. Like he like goes to sleep like making like with the like I talk to his wife, and his wife is like, Paige, like he'll fall asleep like with the stream on because he's like, I have to make sure Jerry's okay and everything's right. Like he works so hard and needs way more recognition than he gets. But he's great too. But first one in, it was Tate for a while, and I laughed so hard, and I was like, God bless your new heart. But like this is quite a different change than like
you got nothing to do for 4 hours, bud.
I'm like, you coming in at 6 a.m. I was like, people will notice and stuff, but only for so long, and then you might die because if you're on streams and you're working like this, like you need to like get into the groove of what everyone's doing. But the coolest part about Barstool is like you get in and you do your shit and no one asks questions. Like you can roll in at like 11:30 and like people might bust your balls on it, or like I know Mook was coming in after the list and Big Cat was like, did you just come in? Like those are moments where like people will notice things, but like Mook grinds his ass off. Like he's on content, but he's producing so much shit. Like he is behind the scenes and then working on his own craft. Exactly. Yeah. Like he does the comedy scene and everything. Like him, and it's cool too because actually he was one of the first people I ran into at Barstool, and he was like, oh, you're a Philly girl, and he named all of like I lived with my 3 cousins and my brother, so like I grew up around all those guys, and they were all like a year 2 years older than me, and all of their friends went to my grade school, and like I grew up like them sleeping at my house and stuff, and I was like, how do you know these people? Which again, Mook is just another person where like he just knows somehow he's intertwined with everything. But getting to know him and then like seeing what he did from coming from an accountant and like his job to what he's created is like the coolest thing too.
Yeah. Yeah, same
It's
with like,
everybody
a
has
guy
a
like
crazy
Chase.
story.
Yeah, the same with a guy like Chase. I feel like that's something that it's the premise of the show. Like, there's more to these people. Like they all
That's
come
why I
from
love it.
somewhere. You know, like it's fucking yeah, it's awesome, and it's cool that you've gotten to experience that, and like we've been fortunate enough to talk to who we have. It's fucking great. Frankie, if you don't have anything, I have 2 questions, but they're more ask. Like they're personal, they're Barstool Breakdown questions. So we're going to be in Chicago for the live dozen finale, obviously.
Oh, sweet.
Oh, you're
Yes.
going
Yeah.
into this, all right? Okay, go.
Yeah. How do we get a tour, Paige? Come on. You know a guy.
got-
You are the guy.
You guys could get a tour. I'll talk to Big Cat, and I'm absolutely sure that he'll be
Just let
okay
him
with
know
it.
Sandos is asking. He's the one that gave me the
Yes.
Sandos name.
As long as I get an okay from the big man at all times, then I'm absolutely okay with it.
Okay.
Well, what are the dates that you're in?
We're waiting for, we have to wait till the dozen releases the live schedule.
It's
Okay.
the 17th through the 21st is when I'm trying to go, which is that whole week. But I don't know if I'm gonna be able to go
Okay.
the whole week. But I'm trying to go the whole week.
I was gonna say, but you guys have a couple days, because what I'll do is I'll just like look at everyone's schedule too.
Yeah.
And then I'll talk to Big Cat, and if I get the okay, then absolutely.
All right. and then
I will give you the grand tour.
Perfect. That'd be amazing. And then the second one is probably not doable, but I know that Stella Blue sponsors this show called Wake Up Mincy, and sometimes it's on and sometimes it's not. If there's a show that at least once a week we can get it out, and you guys need some low level sponsor, and if you know a guy, just say something. Hey, I know this show. That's it. That's all I'm saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that all goes back to the Big Cat,
I know.
the
No, I
meeting.
know.
But yes, he is very relaxed, and he's good with certain things.
No, he's
but
the man.
he probably hates me too. I walk up and I'm like, I usually just slip, like I
I
ask him to
promise you,
sponsor-
he does not. There's
No, he
absolutely no shot. I'm not even gonna let you
No.
finish that fucking thought because you just said that. There is
I
no
know.
shot in hell. He loves you and
No,
literally
he's the
would be
best.
dead without you, and he
He
knows
was like,
that's the best part.
when early in the office,
He's the best.
when they were yakking early in the new office, like when they came from that weird purgatory.
Oh yeah, Belmont.
I mean, he all the time he was saying, oh, the office manager Paige, she's great. Like, it was before we even got introduced to you, before like the Stoolies got a hold of your Twitter, and then before you're more
Yes.
involved with stuff, it feels. But yeah, Big Cat used to shout you out all the time. He doesn't hate you.
No, he is the best. I walk up to him 27 times a day, and I'm like, you have to do this, you have to be here, and then like he'll walk into his office, and like I have a laundry basket that I put in his office, and I was like, put this in here. Like, no, please stop doing this.
Does he give you a
but
heads up on all the stuff that he's buying and getting delivered there? Like, does he let you know, or you just get
No,
stuff
you know what?
delivered? And he's like,
I'm usually buying it.
okay.
No, but like the apple juice, he bought that live on the app. I remember
the
it.
app. No, the apple juice he'll buy, or he'll text me, and he'll be like, "Do I have any packages?" If he's on the yak, and like I usually know what, because I'll watch it. If he buys something, I'll know that he bought
All right.
it, or like he'll be like, "This is on the way," and I'll expect it. So like I'll make sure that he has everything. But yeah, typically it gets delivered and I'll take it up to his office, or I'll run into it and I'll be like, this is this. And he's like, I wasn't expecting anything. Open it. What is it? But yeah, we have a good system. We have a really good system. And we both communicate really well. Like, we know not to take up too much of everyone's time. And I kind of just run in with like random questions, and he's like, yes. But there's also moments, it's so funny too, because God bless that man, because a lot of people are very nervous to like really interact with him, or like, I wouldn't say nervous to interact with him, but like the way I interact with him, like we had to do something for Stella Bloom, we had to be somewhere, and it was like a quick interaction, but it was with important people, and we sit down, and first of all, my Uber dropped me off at the wrong direction, so I'm running. I'm in a full blown sprint. There are people walking downtown in like their suits, getting ready for work, like literally, like, and I'm like, I got to make sure I'm in the right place. Like, I thought that this was the location, and then I just saw his head in the window, and I'm like, the last thing I need is him fucking seeing me sprinting down the fucking street right now, which he would laugh at anyway.
Right.
And I went in and I told him that, but like it was in front of people, and I was like, anyway, I'm Paige, guys. Like, so nice to be here, all this stuff. And we like sat down, and I had a glass of water. And we went to like try something or do something, and like our arms crossed, and I spilled a whole glass of water on his pants, and I was just like, "Oh my god!" Like there's just like I'm just like there's just so many moments, and it always happens where like I try and turn I'm in such like I tell everyone I kind of just like do like as I go, and then when it comes to me overthinking something is when I'm like such a klutz, and like the real me like really truly comes out. And I was like, oh my god, Dan, I'm so sorry. And like we had to take a picture with everyone, and like usually big wet spot on it. And, like I was just like, I'm so
Like Big Cat
embarrassed.
did, yeah. Big Cat did
And,
piss
like,
dogs at lunch.
Yes. And like there's moments where I'll be up and like I'll be like cleaning the coffee machine or something. And I'm like thinking about my to-do list, and I'm like running through my day-to-day, and like I'm trying to organize in my head while I'm doing it, and he'll pop out of like a corner and ask me something, and I'm like, I love I'm like, my brain's not functioning yet. I'm like, I'm so sorry, like it's too early. And he's like, no, sometimes I do that with my wife or my kids. Sometimes I did it the other day, and like when I spilled the water on him, he's like, I spilled this other thing on me. I was like, stop making me feel better. Like,
Yeah, right.
I'm like, stop making me feel better. Like I'm stressed out. So like he really truly has seen so many sides to me that at this point I'm just like, God bless him. Like he truly is the best. But he puts up with me, so I'm really grateful for it. And I can't say it enough. He's like, I feel like I'm his like young child sometimes. And then like I'm also like, I'm your mother, and I'm like, you're doing great, sweetie.
Yeah,
Like
you have to be the mom too.
I'm like setting things up where I'm like, so everything comes full circle in there, and it's I'm not just somebody putting it all on my back. It's everybody else helping me out in the background too.
Yeah,
And
you've been crushing it. It's been evident. It's been clear. All the content people let us know that
you.
OMP's got it locked down over there in Chicago
Yes.
in that office. And
I appreciate it.
yeah, you've crushed it, and I've learned a ton about you, and I appreciate you coming on and sharing your story with us. It's incredible, from the corporate life to picking up packages for Big Cat and spilling water on them, whatever it takes. Like you
Whatever it takes.
Yeah, no, it's awesome, and we appreciate that. To stay up late and tell us your story.
Yeah, for sure. I am gonna say you guys are lucky too, because Frankie, I felt so bad when you reached out to me, and I was like, first of all, I was kind of going back and forth, and I was like, am I gonna do this? I was like, again, like it feels like I've been here forever, but I'm like, sometimes I'm like, I don't want to step on toes and be like, I'm trying to push content or something. Like I'm not, but I am a firm believer, and like I love what you guys are doing. And I think that seeing people in like their natural element and like they're normal people, and it's not like they don't have like this like I don't know, special thing to them that makes them who they are. I mean, I think everybody truly has that in them, and you guys kind of reflect on how normal and real we all are. And I was gonna respond back to Frankie too and be like, I thought about this and saying yes, like I am a yes man, but to catch me I literally just had to look at my phone and realize what day it was, but like on a Wednesday night, I wear so many hats that my brain turns off usually at like 3 p.m. and I'm already being stupid to everybody that we work with. So like I respect you guys like and what you guys are doing and letting me come on and just kind of ramble all over the place, because at the end of the day, that truly is who I am.
It's awesome.
That's what we want to show. And I mean, that's like you said, that's what this show is. Like you're talking about, like, oh, we have so many bigger people, Brandon Walker and Nick Turanian. Like, yeah, sure. Maybe we'll get more views on their videos than this, but I promise you there will be especially the hardcore stoolies. They're going to like this interview more than probably anyone we've done, because you gave us some behind the scenes stuff, and like things that like we don't know that you told us. It's like, they're going to be waiting for you to be tagging us in Brandon tweets now too. It's just this is the stuff that I'm telling you. It like people care,
Yes.
and like that's why I was excited. It's like it doesn't matter to me who I'm talking to. I just, like I said, you're all real people, and it's like your stories are all different. So it's just cool to see,
I respect that.
and I
so
appreciate
much,
you,
guys.
like you said, saying yes, because I know you do wear a lot of hats. It's getting later, and I know you
Hey,
gotta
tell
leave
Max-
early and all
Tell
that.
Max to stop ghosting me. He's been ghosting me recently. He said
Wait,
he said
okay.
he's gonna come on.
Yeah,
and
Max.
ghost
How
me.
about
What the
Mook?
fuck?
Mook said yes to us 100
Wait.
times, and then all of a
Yeah,
sudden
no,
now he won't.
You
We'll
want me
get
to
into
you want me
other
to put Max on the spot right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, FaceTime him.
So we went to the he is probably up. We were at the Cubs game the other day, and Max is super fucking busy.
Yeah.
But I told him about this, and I was like, "Oh, I have to get back to Frankie," and he was like, "Oh fuck, I haven't answered them." He was like, "Those guys keep hitting me up. Those guys keep trying to get me on. I'll push him to it, and I'll just be like, hop on,
Yeah.
like you'll be fine."
It's his fault.
Yeah.
He said yes. So I was like, all right, cool. So then I
Keep
reached out and he's like,
blow
fuck.
him up.
He's like, I will, man. I promise. I'm in Philly this weekend. Blah, blah. I was like, I know it's no problem, man. Like,
I'm
he's
about to-
obviously a
he
very
does.
busy guy.
I'm about
Which
to
also
outsource
that
the
was
page
so
right now.
funny. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Did you see the him doing the marching band? Oh my
fucking
god.
great.
Talk about
Unreal.
being a mother. I had to bring the props. Nobody fucking tells me shit ever. Like I said, I have to watch everything. I have to watch everything to know that nothing is planned. Everything is so authentic. It is insane, down to like events and stuff too. And I'm like, I have friends, I have family that all came to not family, a ton of friends and his family were at the Barstool Sanson bar.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, it feels so good to be back in Philly. I'm like catching up and I hear the band going. And I'm like, motherfucker. There's
Gotta
like
go.
his conductor hat's like in a corner somewhere. There's a baton, like some random drunk guy's playing with that. I'm like, what the fuck? So I'm like running. I leave a couple things behind. I call my best friend who like isn't all of my like I have like a tight group of like 6 girlfriends that are like the girliest girls and they all have like families and children and everything, and I'm the fucking wild dog. So I'm like with them, and they don't really know much about Barstool other than like that's Paige. And I call my friend Devin, and I'm like, grab the hat, grab the baton, follow the drums, and there's like 300 people, and I'm sprinting down the side again with my camera out, like I gotta get footage for the boys. This is funny.
Yeah.
And we got the hat to him, and we got the baton, and we got all of the footage and stuff that we need. But like he would like look around like a lost puppy at times and be like, "Where's my girlfriend? Where's Paige? What do I need to do? Where do I need to be at?" And it's like it truly is like the funniest, most amazing memories that like you get to create with your coworkers and your friends.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
But
that's
yeah,
awesome.
they're wild. Philly was fun, but I'll harass Max for you.
I appreciate it.
Harassing Max is my favorite thing to do.
I was gonna say you got a couple people because Mook said yes and hasn't come on, and Megan has said yes. Also,
Oh, wow.
actually, Megan said yes and said we'll schedule it after March Madness, and I said all right. And then I feel like a full-on creep now because I've just been like, hey,
I'll
how about
talk to
now?
her. I'll talk to
She's
Megan tomorrow.
She's still answering. That's the worst part too. Is I'm like you're just like stringing this along. on me.
She's tough because she is such a good mom. And like the second
get
she's done, she goes right into mom mode. Like she is busy. Like there's times where she doesn't answer me or like I'll send something.
Like I said, this is a dick sucking session. I'm only kidding. You don't need to actually pester
No.
them. I'm just saying this just
No,
to
I won't
put it
pester
out
them.
there.
I'll just I'll fuck it. Doing tricks on it, little bro.
Yeah, there you
No,
go.
I will talk to Max and harass him just because that just gives me something to do. Megan, I will bring it up to her and she'll probably see that I'm on it too and she'll be like, yeah, let's jump on.
I was gonna say I'm more than likely gonna be like, hey, we just had Paige on, so now we have our second girl, and you'd have to be the third, unfortunately. So
I'm the first girl.
No,
second.
Oh yeah.
We had Gia. You're the first of Chicago, though.
Oh, G is the best.
We're
Yeah,
a diverse
G is
show
great.
here. We don't have no girls.
love it.
We had one.
Oh yeah. Go women.
Well, the best part is
man.
I always
A
start.
woman runs the show. They'd be
Yeah,
lost without me.
Who
No, I'm
runs the
kidding.
world, girls? We got it, dude. We got it.
Yeah.
But I always start the show with like whoever it is. I'm like, it's Brandon fucking Walker. How we doing, brother? And I always say, how we doing, brother? So it's like when it was Gia, I was like, how we doing, Miss Gia, or something like that. And Jonathan like ripped me apart about it afterwards. So I'm like, when I had yours written down, I'm like, all right, what am I going to say? All right, it's Office Manager Paige. And then I described you as an office manager. I'm like, fuck, what do I say here? I don't even remember what I
That's
said. But
so funny.
yeah,
I mean,
it was-
regardless,
All
who
right.
cares? It's
We got
totally
through
fine. But I wish you would have did brother to me, because it's like such a big thing with Barstool now too. And my friends, like I said, are such girly girls. Like it cracks me up when I look back on like certain memories that pop up, because it'll be like my friends like watching sports with me or something and be like, Paige is fucking doing this again, taking over the TV. And like the one thing that they used to yell at me for, they were like, you are like very well off with your job and what you do. You need to stop saying hell yeah, brother. And I would just be like, hell yeah, brother. Like it was very well known as like I was the face of hell yeah, brother in that friend group in Philly. And I wish you would have done it to me. That would have been great.
I kind of want to re-record it now because that's pretty. That's
No.
hysterical.
When we cut, we can just thanks, brother. And we're good to go. That's it.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, fucking that guy's just that guy took off after Jerry After Dark.
Dude, my 8th graders never stopped saying that
insane.
stuff.
Announcing draft picks.
You know what's crazy too is when he came into the office, he was so well mannered, and like to be honest, I was like so in the weeds with how many productions that we were going on. I wasn't really on social media like too much, like checking on anything else.
Right.
And I was just like, oh, I know that this guy's big and he's coming in. I want to make sure that like he's settled and he has like a good time, whatever. And he was like, he just kept calling me ma'am and miss and was like so well mannered and like doing everything. And I was like, oh, this guy's so nice. I turned on the stream. I was like, well, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah, he just turns it on. The behind the scenes Viva TV stuff. I was like, wait, is that his twin brother? Like, what the fuck? Like,
Hey, calling Jerry fat. He called Dan fat.
Yeah.
I was crying laughing. Like when he did the whole big cat thing. And then he said there was a certain clip.
Oh, sorry for cussing.
Yes.
Yeah.
He said something about like Jerry's vape or something. And like there was a certain clip that came out of it. And like I was like crying in laughter. And I genuinely was in shock because I was like, this is not the man that I met today.
Right. Yeah, he turned it on. I mean, that's something we experience every day. It's like a switch. You gotta turn it on. It's content time.
It's amazing to see how much he's done in like the last couple of months alone too. It's wild. But he was amazing. He was great to have in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Frankie, you got anything else, buddy?
I was gonna say, all right, Paige. Well, we've taken you for an hour and a half now, and I think unless you have some more to tell, which we'd love to hear, I think that could be it.
I feel like she's got endless stories, bro. You know where
I was gonna say I have endless stories. They'll all come out somehow, some way, I'm sure. But that was a pretty much a snippet of how I got here and all of that, because
episode 1.
Yeah, I was gonna say I try and cut shit short, but I'm cutting so many corners right now. Like this is like the craziest story, but it gives a pretty broad overview of how I got here.
Well, the good news is, barring any crazy shit, you are around for the long time, the long haul, with Barstool and Barstool Chicago, helping that office flow the way it does and bringing so much good content to us Stoolies that we're very thankful for. We appreciate you, Paige. Again, thank you so much for spending time with us. We're past midnight here on a Wednesday, and Paige is rocking it out with a breakdown. So we appreciate that a ton.
Yes, appreciate you guys so much. Absolutely. Thank you guys. See you later, brother.
Yeah. Oh yeah, thanks, brother.
It's the Barstool Breakdown. Go ahead and give it to me. Breakdown. Let's listen to those guys. Breakdown. What's happening at Barstool this week?